Good morning, students. Welcome to your physics class. I hope you are doing good and are in good health. So let's start with our class. Students, in our previous class, we had discussed the concept of buoyancy and buoyant force, and we had seen that fluids do exert pressure. We had also discussed the laws of flotation. So in our today's class, we are going to study Archimedes principle and its applications. You have a beaker filled with water and you put your index finger inside it. You will observe that the water level will rise slightly. You put in two fingers, the water level rises a bit more. And now, when you put in your hand up to the wrist level, you will see that the water level increases significantly. The ancient Greek mathematician Archimedes observed similar when he got into a bathtub. When he got in, he realized that the water level went up. In both the cases, you noticed that the water is displaced by the object that goes in. Keep this thought in your mind. We will come back to it soon. Now, we know that when an object is placed in or on a fluid, the fluid exerts a buoyant force on it which acts in the upward direction. The Archimedes principle just goes one step further in saying that the buoyant force applied by the fluid is equal to the weight of the displaced fluid. We can take a simple example to understand this. Take a 5 kg solid object, suspend it by a spring balance. The balance will read 5 kilograms. Let this be the first case. For the second case, take a beaker of water which has a small opening at the top. The water in the beaker is filled right up to this point where the opening is. And now we keep a small container under the opening. Now slowly lower the solid object into the water and you will see that the reading will be a lower number as compared to the previous case. Why is that? It's because of the buoyant force acting on the object. You will have also noticed that some water was displaced. Now, in this context, we can say that the weight of this displaced water is equal to the magnitude of the buoyant force acting on the object. That's the Archimedes principle. It says that when an object is immersed fully or partially in a fluid, the upward force applied by the fluid on the object is same as the weight of the fluid displaced by the object. Where this principle can be applied? Can you think any of the examples? How do you think that the large steel ships float? It's simple. If the weight of the water displaced by the vessel below the keel is equivalent to the vessel's weight, then everything above the keel will remain afloat. That's because the water also applies an upward buoyant force on the ship which is same as that of the weight of the water displaced by it. Of Archimedes principle. It is used in designing ships and submarines. Submarine is a ship which can float on the surface of sea or can sink when necessary and reappear again on the surface. It is provided with large tanks both at the front and at the back. These tanks can be filled with seawater or air from compressed air reservoirs. If the tanks are filled with water, the weight of the ship increases and hence it sinks according to the requirement. If water from tank is pumped out by forcing compressed air in them, the ship becomes lighter and rises to the surface. So by filling or emptying the tanks, the ship is made to sink or rise as desired. Various instruments like lactometer, hydrometer are based on this principle. Till a few years ago, lactometers were used to determine the purity of a sample of milk, while hydrometer is used to determine the density of a liquid.